Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you like it, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe. Sometimes I have some pretty cool stuff on here. First thing we're looking at is I was on a trip this past weekend and my wife was complaining about a clicking noise under her seat. Well, this is your thermal line, your thermal coupler line thingy, and 7,000 pound truck, and Ram decided that they were going to use an aluminum bracket. They should have used a steel one. On sale, that part is $147. You can't get the bracket alone. You have to buy everything. So here I am. I'm pulling off my automatic transmission pan. Fluid is everywhere. By everywhere, I mean everywhere, like it will be with yours. I'm at that point in my life where I hate doing anything that has to do with automatic transmission fluid and not having a drain plug. So that's why we're here today. Is the OEM pan is now off of my Ram 2500. What you're watching, this video is a 2022 Ram 2500 Laramie with 36,000 miles on it. There are two filters in the transmission. Kudos to Ram Stellantis for this one. I mean, how can you go wrong having two filters? You have an intake, and I guess you have a regular one that filters the fluid as it's going through the transmission. Needless to say, at 35,000 miles, the fluid is pretty dirty on this. I'm 100% sure that manufacturers sit the automatic transmission fluid and filter change at high intervals so they can get more money out of us. If you Google Dodge Ram 2500 transmission life, you're going to find that the average on one of these transmissions is 100,000 miles. So I'm not a fan of that at all. I want to keep this truck for about 15 years, and that's probably going to be close to give or take 150,000 miles on the clock when I'm done driving this thing, if we can even get diesel in 15 years. But I believe in preventative maintenance, so that's why I'm doing this now. Most cars that I buy are used, and I do buy cars which are under 30,000 miles if I'm going to keep them for any amount of time. But at 30,000 miles, I think is when a vehicle should get its first automatic transmission fluid change and get the filters changed on it. And as you see, I'm fighting with this filter trying to get it on. Once I remove the intake filter, the spin-on filter goes on a lot easier. But anyway, watch till the end, and you'll see me cleaning off the pan, the bottom of the original pan, and cleaning up the magnets. And when I tell you the pan was just filthy nasty, yes, the automatic transmission fluid is pink. Is it as pink as new? It absolutely is not as pink as new, but it is pink. It's okay. I knew the fluid needed to be changed. Usually when you go from reverse to drive or drive to reverse, if you have a clunk, that's somewhat of a good sign that you might want to start thinking about changing your automatic transmission fluid. Another way that I knew that mine needed to be changed out is on the highway, on the roads, just normal driving, going from like second to third to fourth to fifth, it didn't shift. It is buttery smooth as you would want your transmission to shift. It kind of had a, you know, when it just like when it would go into gear, go into the next gear. and new fluid always will make your transmission and your ride a little bit better in your vehicle. So if you watched my other video, I just did a video replacing the front differential cover. I put a Mag HYTEC on the front of the truck and 4 quarts of fluid, and in this one I'm putting a Mag HYTEC transmission pan on, and it's going to hold an additional, it says it's supposed to hold an additional 4 quarts. I'm not sure about that. Right now I'm pulling out the little seal. There's a hole in the bottom of the transmission where the intake filter slides up into. This is, through this hole is how automatic transmission fluid is sucked up into the transmission and pumped through the transmission. At 35,000 miles, probably at 60,000 miles, this little seal more than likely does not need to be replaced. But there's the brand new one. The brand new one's $9 and they made me pay for it, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the new one in there. It is rather difficult to get the new one into place, and what I ended up doing was just taking a socket that was slightly larger than this little gasket, this little O-ring kind of seal, and it is metal on the outside, so I just took a socket that was a little bit larger diameter than this seal, and I tapped it into place with the brass hammer. You'll see me doing that in a second when I'm done fighting with it this way. So there we go with the socket. That seals, it's in place, it's pretty good. I will probably be doing this job again at 60,000 miles. Like I said, I like to do my automatic transmission fluid every 30,000 miles. Trust me, at 30,000 miles, it needs it. Your vehicle's gonna ride better if you do regular maintenance and you do it often. So now we're going to take the intake filter and shove it up into place. There's 2 different kinds of this filter. The filter you see here is for the 4x4. The one for the 2x4 is in a different, the pickup is in a different location. So the filter's in place. I'm going to take my Torx head and I'm just going to tighten that down. I forget what the torque spec was on that little screw, but it wasn't much. And then for the spin-on filter, the instructions on the spin-on filter said tighten it down to where the seal hits the metal and then a 1/4 turn. It actually gave torque specs as well, but I don't know about you folks, but I'm not, with the transmission open, I'm not putting my torque wrench underneath the car and getting ATF dripped all over it. But that should be good enough. It's about hand tight, maybe less than a 1/4 turn is what I put on it. It's not going anywhere. And I kind of wipe everything clean as much as I can. Make sure the area that the pan is going to seat on is clean. And now we're going to jump to the new pan. So this is a Mag HYTEC automatic transmission pan for your Ram 2500. It comes with everything you're going to need. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dump all the little screws, the little hex head screws out, and I'm going to put each hex head screw with a washer what would have been nice, and I hope somebody from HYTEC is watching this, what would be nice if they used a rubber seal, a rubber gasket for this pan like Nissan does. With a Nissan transmission pan, you can take all the screws and you can shove them up through the pan and into the seal, and the rubber seal will hold all of these little screws in place. It makes it so much easier to put the pan on when all the screws are already in place and they're just hanging there. All you have to do is lift the pan up, mate it with the transmission, and then start screwing the screws into the transmission. But yeah, good luck on that. The American manufacturers haven't reached that point yet. I doubt even Chinese manufacturing GM has reached that level. But there we go. There's the pan. Should be 15 holes in the bottom of your pan, and HYTEC does give you an extra screw and an extra washer. They also give you the tools, the hex head screws, to put it all together. I'm not going to use their tools. I'm going to use my T-handle. It's going to be a 5mm T-handle. And we got to make sure we get the camera back in place, which is unfortunate because the camera dropped, so you missed some of the video. But here's me fighting. This pan is 15 pounds, so it's a hefty pan. The one that came off probably weighed 15 pounds full of fluid when it dumped all over everything. But I don't ever have to worry about that again. In the future, all I have to do is unscrew that drain plug. Automatic transmission fluid will drop out into my pan on the floor. Then I remove the pan from the truck, replace my filters, bolt the pan back up to the truck, and fill it up. It took me about 7 quarts to fill this pan up. I haven't checked it a third time. I did go out this morning. I drove out to my local Ram, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep dealership to see if I could buy that bracket for the cooling lines. And no, you cannot buy that bracket. You have to buy the entire thing, and it's about $200. But this truck's still under warranty, so Ram's picking up the bill for that broken bracket and the labor that it's going to cost. I'm hoping when they put the new one on, that the new one at least is a steel bracket. That would be a bonus. Otherwise, you and I both know that when I'm doing this chore again at 60,000 miles, I'm going to have to do something with that aluminum bracket, which means I'm more than likely either going to make a steel one, or I'll take the aluminum one and reinforce it with steel just to make it a little bit more strong, because there's no way that bracket can hold, right? Every time you start the motor, that bracket starts vibrating, and aluminum just doesn't like vibrations. So I have a feeling that the new one's going to be aluminum, and I want to be going through the same thing in a few months, maybe, well, a few years. Let's hope. Let's hope I'm at 60,000 miles in about 3 years. That would be my goal. Maybe I'll lose some weight in 3 years. My fat ass will fit underneath the truck a little bit better. If I didn't have that floor jack lifting the body up, I probably wouldn't have made it underneath the truck. And the air dam in the front, when I was doing the front differential, just dragged on my belly every time. But no, I didn't have to lift the truck off the ground. I just lifted the body up. The wheels and tires were firmly planted on the ground. Now, if you like this video, the next one I'm going to do, probably in the next day or two. But it'll be up there on the interwebs forever and always. I'm doing a video installing a Banks Performance rear differential cover. So for those of you that do any towing, or those of you who think that preventative maintenance is a good idea, check out the Banks Performance rear differential cover for your Ram truck. Banks makes a cover that does a great job of moving the lubricants and stuff around the differential. Yeah, they have a really great product. So we're underneath the truck. We're just finishing up torquing these screws down. The Mag HYTEC said that this should be about 6 to 7 foot-pounds. So I'm using a small Proto inch-pound, foot-pound torque wrench, and I'm snugging each one of these down. It should be alright. Once you snug it up good, that little cork gasket that they provide will keep everything from dripping. Like I said, this is Monday. I did this job on a Sunday morning, and we're on Monday afternoon now, and I have driven the truck this morning, and nothing's leaking out of it. So I guess I did something right for once. So that's torquing down the pan there. Now we're going to jump over to putting the fluid in. If you haven't checked your fluid, the dipstick is in the back of the engine compartment on the right hand side. You're going to want to get a decent sized funnel and a good ladder so you can climb up in your truck. It's been many years since I've done maintenance to a Cummins engine. Back in the day, most of the trucks that I worked on had a Cummins NC250. Back in my Marine Corps days, that's what I worked on. The 813s, the 925s. Good times. The Humvees, Dragon Wagon LVS. When I stopped doing that, I didn't think I'd ever own another diesel engine, but here I am. But like I said, with this new pan, I put 7 quarts in. Originally I put 6, and I backed it out of the garage, and it needed an additional. I did 6, and I couldn't tell on the dipstick because it was still running down the dipstick slot. So I went ahead and I just backed the truck out of the garage and cleaned the garage up a little bit. And once I was done cleaning out the garage, then I went back and I checked it again, and the fluid level was about halfway up the dipstick. And no, I didn't buy the 5-quart jug or gallon jug, whatever this ATF+4 comes in. You can buy it in a big jug. It's just easier to use a quart bottle. There wasn't a price difference. I bought this ATF+4 from the interwebs. I bought a case of it. It was pretty cheap. The price was comparable to what buying a couple jugs, 3 jugs. It was cheap. Actually, it was cheaper to buy 12 quarts than it was to buy 3 jugs. That's why I went with quarts, and it's easier to use quarts. So here's me checking the dipstick. Like got some light on the matter so you could kind of sort of see it a little bit better, but I don't think you can really see it on camera. But you see the entire dipstick is wet, and every time I shoved it down in the hole, there's just so much fluid down the pipe that the dipstick just came back out wet every time. So I kind of knew that I was a quart short, and so here we go. This is about 45 minutes later, because I wanted to get all that automatic transmission fluid residue and crap off of my garage floor. This is one time that I'm glad that I put so much epoxy down on the floor, because it made cleaning up the oil and stuff, it made it a breeze. I just sprayed the floor down with greased lightning, and then took a squeegee and pushed the greased lightning around, and then took my water hose and sprayed out the garage and then squeegeed out the garage. So yeah, if you're on the fence about putting down a epoxy floor in your garage, I'm going to say do it. It's worth it. It's worth every cent of it. And it's pretty easy to do also. I bought a kit off of Amazon. Whatever the kit calls and says that you need, just triple it. So if it says that you can get by putting 3 gallons of epoxy down on your garage floor, just go buy 9 gallons. Once you mix 9 gallons and put it on your floor and it levels, your garage floor will look amazing. And then if you come back and put clear on top of that, your floor will look slick. I only put 3 gallons of white and 6 gallons of clear down, but I definitely should have gone with 6 gallons of white and 9 gallons of clear. If I do it again, which I think I might do it again in the summertime, because I don't think I like the red flakes in the floor. I think I'm gonna go back over the floor with white epoxy, and I'll put down 6 gallons of the white epoxy and 9 gallons of the clear. The clear is what really makes it pop. It makes the floor look like it's wet all the time, and the floor is as hard as glass. It's beautiful. So there you just saw me put my 7th quart in, and I'll check it again. I have a trip coming up on Friday, so I'm going to check that before I run out to Lexington, North Carolina to pick up a dump trailer. But here's the pan that I pulled off. Hopefully this turns out pretty good. If you're watching this on a phone, it might not be too great. But if you're watching this on a computer with a good high-def monitor, you could see how much sludge was on that magnet. And there's that much sludge in the bottom of the pan. It's just nasty. And this is 35,000 miles. The previous owner did not tow with it, even though this truck does have the 5th wheel tow package. They didn't tow. They had a topper on it. Yeah, I know, a topper. They had a topper and the tailgate down, and then they had a little ladder that came off the side, so they could climb up this ladder, and then the tailgate was like their back porch, and then they went in the topper to live or whatever. Well, that's not me. I bought the truck so I could pull equipment with it. Maybe run out to the quarry and get some rock every now and then to fix the driveway. But this transmission, and if you don't believe me about the 30,000 miles, I have another video. You can just look under my name, my username here, RideWNC, and there's a video for a 2019 370Z that I have, and I bought it with right at 30,000 miles on it, and I dropped the pan about a week after I had the car. I dropped the pan, and the bottom of the pan was just nasty. the fluid had gone from pink to a brownish color, and I do that car. I'll change the transmission fluid. Well, I drop out about 4 quarts every time I do an oil change, and that car shifts amazing, and this truck does too. I'll know more on Friday when I jump in it and I'm sitting in the truck for 7 hours. I'll know if this made a difference. But again, I didn't buy the Mag HYTEC pan for cooling. I only bought it to make it easier to drain, to change out those filters. The cooling, it's not going to do a whole lot of cooling. It will, right? And it has more fluid than the stock pan, so that's going to help keep the fluid a little bit cleaner, maybe a little bit cooler. But that's not why I did it. I mainly did it so I could have a drain plug. There's nothing better than having a transmission pan with the drain plug. And Stellantis should be ashamed that here they are in 2024 and they still don't have a drain plug in this truck. But you see how much sludge is on that white paper towel. So I would expect, if you have 60,000 miles and you're watching this video, I would expect to be your transmission to be twice as bad. You need to look into that, get it taken care of, and service it. But I want to get more than 100,000 miles out of my transmission, and preventative maintenance is the best way. I hope this video helped you out, and if you watched it all the way to the end and you're still listening to me talk, thank you so much for watching this. I really do appreciate it. Please hit that like button. Y'all have a nice day.